Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the recap of the VZWBuzz Friday Mobile Lifestyle Chat. Today, as you know, we spoke about a really important issue and one that affects men and women and lots of children in the United States, domestic violence, an issue that has been brought to the forefront of all headlines recently. And I am very proud to be associated with Verizon and this campaign that has been long-running by them way before these headlines actually have been in the news. And that's the Verizon HopeLine program. It is a program designed to raise awareness for domestic violence, but also to support victims in very meaningful and tangible ways, from providing assistance to shelters to grants to start a business. For today's chat, I have two wonderful guests, which I will introduce in a second. And we will also have a prize. The Moto X is today's VZWBuzz chat, and Marty just put it on the screen for you guys to see. It's a wonderful smartphone. And the person to win it is going to be, we want to actually collect tweets of what you actually learned on today's chat. So please post any new resources, any new ways, any new ideas that you gathered from the chat today. Maybe you'll do a phone drive. You let us know. Please post any of the ideas that you may have garnered from the chat, and we will pick a winner from those towards the end. We are going to be live for about 10 more minutes, and we just want to give you a quick recap of some of the things that we want you to take away today. So I'm thrilled to have as today's guests two wonderful folks from Verizon. These two happen to be in sunny California, and they are Ken Muche and John Johnson. Welcome, guys.
Hey, thanks so much. Hi, Monica, and hi, everyone. Thanks for inviting us today.
Thanks for having us, Monica.
Yes, thank you so much. We have always come to you guys for information on HopeLine and some of the many campaigns that have been a part of HopeLine. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you first of all is, if I can ask you, Ken, what was really the first year that Verizon had the HopeLine program, the HopeLine idea? How long ago has this been going on?
Well, Verizon Wireless started our HopeLine program in 2001. Of course, 2000 is the year when we came together, brought together different regional wireless carriers to become Verizon Wireless, and several of those, like Bell Atlantic Mobile, had HopeLine, and it was different then. It's very advanced today, so it really has evolved. And John, there's some just tremendous stats about the success of HopeLine if you want to share with the folks at home.
There are. We've donated through recycling more than 11 million phones and I think close to $80 million in grants. But we came to this in a very organic way. Before we were Verizon, remember the wireless business in the United States is not that old. And we learned early on that because every cell phone must be able to call 911, even if it's no longer active, that phones would have a value even after people stopped using them. So early on, we began to donate them to shelters where typically women needed an emergency communications lifeline. And then the program really grew organically from that. We decided that the phones needed to be active so that women could use them to create a new life, to arrange for childcare while appearing in court. And we grew this thing because we realized that the needs were so great, and it's still growing because unfortunately the needs are even greater today.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. I had the privilege of interviewing a woman that was the beneficiary of a HopeLine grant not too long ago. She had escaped her abuser with 4 girls. They were all under the age of 7. And a few years later, thanks to the HopeLine and the shelter that assisted her, she started a business around Chase Stadium selling sandwiches and hot dogs, and she had a thriving business, obviously during the season, during the baseball season, but also after. And it was just wonderful to interview her, actually. She was also Mexican-American like I am, and it was just really heartwarming to see not only was she assisted when she was in most danger, but she was also allowed to get a grant to start a business and restart her life with her 4 girls. So.
Well, one of the questions that you asked earlier was, what does HopeLine do? And the space restrictions of Twitter don't really allow us to say all the things we do. You just touched on another one that I did not mention, which is essentially empowerment grants to victims who have decided to become survivors and sought the help that they need to do that. We look for opportunities to help people get started, build a new business, build a new life. And again, the needs are so great that there are many opportunities for us to make a difference.
Yes, Ken, just to recap, I think a great way to help the folks on Twitter and everyone watching us, give us some of the most creative ways, or just really more of the common ways people can actually get involved at any level.
Right. Well, one of the things that we've learned from domestic violence over the years, researchers tell us, is that one of the main ingredients for domestic violence to thrive is silence, because in silence, abusers are able to hide in the shadows and victims feel isolated. Mm-hmm. And so I was really disturbed when I read a recent study by the Avon Foundation that found that although 22% of Americans self-identified as being a victim of domestic violence, and that 60% of Americans said they knew somebody who was a domestic violence victim, a majority of Americans said they never even had a conversation with another person about domestic violence. Mm-hmm. I think breaking the silence is incredibly important. And one of the things we've done here in the last few weeks as a company, Verizon's launched the Because Voices Have Power campaign. And what that is that doesn't matter what social media platform you're on, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, if you post a message of hope or inspiration for a survivor, hashtag it, hashtag Voices Have Power. Verizon Wireless will donate $3 to some of our national partners who are going to create awareness programs and training for the folks who are on the front lines, who are working with victims every day, doing all the hard work to help victims transition from victimhood to a life of independence and really being survivors who are living violence-free.
So it's great, actually, such a good point, Ken, I think that you bring up is you don't have to be too complicated about what you can do actively to support this issue, even if you just start sharing and talking about it, and hashtag Voices Have Power. I know as a mom, I'm absolutely petrified of my daughter falling into that cycle. There's so many instances in which even family background has no bearing. I never lived through it. I have never actually seen it firsthand, luckily. But it allows people to actually also have a conversation and just probably bring it up more into the open, right? So not just about the silence of victims, but also the potential future silence of younger girls and boys that really should talk about it and know that it's an issue to discuss. How about John, tell us a little bit about the drives. How successful are they? I know people can request online a prepaid envelope, something like that, if they don't have a Verizon store nearby. What's that possibility for people to help?
People can go into any one of our stores, and you can locate a store on our website, VerizonWireless.com. If you add /HopeLine to the address, you'll find all kinds of information, including how you could get a prepaid mailing label to send your phone in. But today everyone uses smartphones, and you don't necessarily want to give your phone away, or if you're giving it away, you want to trade it in on a new phone. So we've also got a program that lets you trade in your phone and retain that value towards your new phone while at the same time contributing to HopeLine. Our HopeLine fund gets $5 from the business, from our business, for every phone that you trade in when you upgrade to the latest. So I would say the best way to do this is go online or walk into a Verizon store and make sure you bring all the old dusty phones with you.
Do the authorized retailers also provide this service, John, or does it have to be a Verizon store?
It should be a Verizon store. Many of our authorized retailers are beginning to recycle phones through HopeLine, but you wouldn't be guaranteed that everyone that you might visit would be ready to take that phone from you.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay, one of the other things that I just wanted to ask you is on some of the questions around the issues with the NFL, and there was this really wonderful blog post by your CEO. Tell us a little bit about that answer. You guys support the NFL, and there's a lot of issues surrounding that. So can you talk to it a little bit more, John?
Well, I'd like Ken to do that. You had the chance to speak to Peace Over Violence here in LA a couple of nights ago, and I think they were very interested in the NFL.
Right, and I'll tell you what I told them when I addressed them, and it was very straightforward. It's, if you've watched an NFL game over the last few years, you've probably seen a Verizon Wireless commercial. And so we want to be very direct in our response. And when you think of domestic violence advocates, our CEO, Lowell McAdam, he's one of the strongest that you're going to find around. And I want to paraphrase what he said, which is, part of our credo that says we run to a crisis, not away. So we feel that by engaging the NFL, we're going to be able to be real game changers here. And the NFL did approach us weeks ago, asking us for our help to put together with them and domestic violence advocates from around the country a strategy, not just to change the culture around domestic violence in the NFL, but also in the cities where they have teams as well, to give back and make a real difference. And so, as our CEO, Lowell McAdam, said in his blog post, we will continue to leverage our relationship with the NFL to be a voice for change.
That's a really good point. And really, it's not really the league, right? This is also everyone, everybody that plays any sport or that engages in any activity. It's such a pervasive issue. It's not exclusive to football, of course. Really, yeah, I love that line. We run to, not away from a crisis. It really defines the philosophy of all of these tough issues that come across Verizon often.
If I could add, I think there's a silver lining to the NFL issue and the Ray Rice video, and that is that now more people than in the many years we've been involved in this are talking about domestic violence, and that goes a long way to breaking the shame and the stigma of silence. And when we begin to talk about it, especially to kids, to young male athletes, about how it's okay to treat your friends, to treat girls, and how it's not okay, I think that's one way you really get ahead of the issue and start to break the cycle. So I think we need to take this as a great opportunity. It's kind of a national teaching moment and make something of it.
Yeah, and I have to say, I've been engaged on this issue with Verizon since 2000 when we formed as a company. And I've been to many of these domestic violence fundraisers and events over the years, and I can see progress in many ways. But as a man, one of the things that I really appreciate is if you look back 10, 12 years, you would attend these events. I'd be one of the only men in the entire room, or 50 or 100 or 300 or 1,000 people. And today it's about 50-50. So there are more men who are standing up, taking a stand against domestic violence. And I think to keep the national conversation going, it's very important for men to be accountable and to stand up and to say, hey, this is not okay, and here's why. And so I see that as a positive change recently. Yeah,
that's really true. It's definitely the silver lining there, John. So important. There are a lot of resources that we'd like to leave our community with, and I know you shared quite a few. We're going to be posting on the chat right now. You'll see a couple of links. Technology becomes a tool for abuse, which John shared earlier on, telling Amy's story. It's a 15-minute clip. I posted a TED Talk, a really, really powerful TED Talk about how it starts and how you can perhaps not notice it, something I think all girls and boys should see. And we also have a link to Jay Jaffin's appearance on Dr. Phil, I believe, and it was a very moving expression of sympathy there. And we also want to make sure that you guys all know how to get help and how to offer help. So all of those things we're going to be posting very quickly on the chat, so that you can actually see them as resources after this is complete. We do have a winner of the Moto X. But before I announce, I want to ask both Ken and John, is there anything else that you would like to add that we may want to make sure to emphasize with the community?
Well, I think we've talked a lot about giving back, and of course, everyone has, or a lot of people have smartphones today, so one of the ways to keep in touch about domestic violence and to find resources, kind of a one-stop shop really, is that Verizon HopeLine app on your smartphone. Download it today, get engaged, and make sure to get on one of your social platforms and post a message of inspiration, hashtag Voices Have Power. Verizon Wireless will donate $3 to our national domestic violence partners.
I'd just like to say thanks to you and your network and to everybody who cares to make a difference in this issue. I'll just leave you with one little piece of information that's not well known. If you have a Verizon wireless phone, you could dial pound or hashtag for today, hashtag HOPE, H-O-P-E, and your call will be connected to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. And they have a process that will refer you, connect you directly to a shelter that's near you. If you're in trouble, if you need help in a hurry, that pound sign HOPE will get you help locally through the National Domestic Violence Hotline.
Yeah, and people really can have an impact. When you think about the Voices Have Power hashtag, you know, we've already raised just in a few weeks more than $230,000, and if you do the math, that's over 700,000 tweets on social media. That's engagement. That's keeping the conversation alive. So there's hope. People out there do care. No one's on an island. We're all in this together.
Thank you. What a great message. I was following the hashtag, the Voices Have Power hashtag last night. The stories are so powerful and so moving, both the support stories as well as the victim stories. It's like really being there with someone to try to help out. And we're going to award a winner. I'm going to post it in a little bit. The one idea that I actually thought was fascinating on the chat was, as Halloween is coming up, Rachapet's idea was to go trick-or-treating and also collect old cell phones from people as you bring your kids around, and at the same time that you are enjoying all that candy, you know, you can possibly collect some great phones for Verizon HopeLine while you're doing that. So I'm definitely going to try that with the high school team that I'm walking around with this year. If they'll have me, actually, I think I've been warned that I might not be invited. But I do have pizza at my house, so they have to show up at some point. And thank you again, both of you, and thank you to Verizon for everything that you do for domestic violence awareness and the support of all the victims. Thank you for your creative ideas to help us get engaged. And to our winner, don't forget to donate your old used cell phone, right, Chapet? I am going to post your retweet in 2 minutes. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
I have been married for 5 years.
My wife and I have been together for 10 years.
We have been officially together for about a year now.
We are two people that love really hard.
He really listens to me.
He has a huge heart.
Have you ever been afraid of your partner?
No, never.
No, not at all.
Have you ever been afraid of your partner?